guys, welcome to another Transformation Tuesday. And today's Transformation Tuesday is brought to you by the Love Affirmations Journal. Okay, so the core belief, because we're working with the theme of addressing core beliefs, and the core belief or the ideal thought or the affirmation for today is because I accept myself, I accept others. And the writing prompt or the reflection prompt is sometimes our judgment of others is a projection of the lack of grace we give to ourselves. Loving ourselves in spite of our flaws teaches us to accept the flaws of others. All right, this is a big one, right? I definitely think that we are in a very harsh society, very harsh with each other, lacking patience, not striving for understanding or listening, speaking more to be argumentative, to be combative, and not releasing things, holding on to the records of wrong from others. And a lot of this is self-acceptance at the core, right? And not accepting ourselves. And so because we ourselves sometimes aren't giving ourselves grace, giving ourselves forgiveness, then we're not able to give it to other people. And in order for you to learn to be gentle with others, you have to be gentle with yourself. And this means sometimes giving yourself permission to rest, right? Giving yourself permission to make things okay. Giving yourself permission to say it's not about who's right or who's wrong. You know, the political climate is very, very polarizing right now. And people are forgetting that sometimes we're having opposing beliefs with people who we love and we care for. And I think sometimes because of the climate, we are projecting a lot of our tension, projecting a lot of our own unhappiness, our own dissatisfaction with what's going on, and weaponizing it with our loved ones. And so tolerance is going to be a very big thing. You know, I'm not saying to not work on being better with yourself. I'm not saying to not work on changing the things that we need to change. But sometimes we need to accept that, you know what, I didn't do this thing correctly, or I could have done something better. Like, take accountability. I'm not saying not to, like, take self accountability, but also to be able to give yourself grace, especially if you're committed to the process of growth. So sometimes our judgment of other people, it's definitely a projection of the lack of grace that we are giving to ourselves, the way that we judge our own selves. And sometimes some of this is rooted as well in our upbringing. You know, if we had parents who are always critical or uber critical, sometimes overcorrecting us, then you internalize a belief of not being good enough, or internalize a belief of perfection, things having to be perfect all the time. And so when we don't show up as perfect, it's quick for us to see that in other people, right? But what other people do is they can only hold a mirror up for you. In every relationship, people hold a mirror up. And so instead of being so quick to judge in a negative way, right? Because we're going to make some type of judgment as human beings, but you want to make sure that your judgment is not an ego judgment. And so instead of being quick to judge, we can ask ourselves, do I see myself in this situation? What is this situation here to teach me? What is this person showing me that I'm not seeing? Okay. Sometimes we don't recognize when we're projecting, because that can be a defense mechanism and it can be unconscious. But once you recognize that you are projecting, try to address what's at the core there, right? What is it that you're not liking in yourself and you see it in other people, right? And because you're seeing it in other people, you're responding negatively to it. And let's get a little deeper here with the reflection prompts, the writing prompts. Where and how is judgment coming up for me these days? Think about that. Another one, how have I been with the flaws and shortcomings of others? Can compassion show up more? Can perspective show up more? And the last one, how have I been with coexisting with my own flaws and shortcomings? Okay, how have I been with coexisting with my own flaws and shortcomings? Right? Check in with yourself. See what's coming up. And the more you kind of practice this, it helps you to break up some of this unconscious reactivity, right? How easily triggered we're feeling these days, right? Because a lot of times the trigger, being easily triggered, something is happening inside of you, right? That's causing you to feel this way. And so instead of just being on autopilot with being triggered, or autopilot with the feeling of being triggered, or the reactivity that happens when you're triggered, check in with yourself. Ask yourself some questions. All right, so the core belief, the affirmation, the ideal thought for this Transformation Tuesday, as we're working from the Love Affirmations Journal, is because I accept myself, I accept others.